Welcome back, everybody. Oversteer here. After going almost a month without any action in F1, it's finally race week. And the Belgian GP is a great place to host the opening of the second half. So, before the action on the track starts, I thought we should go over all of the big things happening off it. First of all, this wouldn't be a video about the 2021 F1 season if I didn't talk about the title fight. It doesn't matter if you're an F1 fan or you just watch the sport casually because a friend put it on once and you thought this is interesting. You know about the battle between Lewis and Max, Mercedes and Red Bull. It's really the closest battle we've had in years, probably the best one since 2012 so far. Lewis and Max so evenly matched, always driving 100% each and every single race, and Mercedes and Red Bull constantly out-developing each other, throwing upgrade after upgrade, in a season where really you should not be focusing on upgrades, you should worry about next year. And they're throwing all that out the window. They want to win right now. The season's unpredictable, and that's what I love about this title fight. That's really what we wanted. We didn't want it to be just what's going to happen each and every single race. We wanted it to be a challenge. We want to be on the edge of our seat as we're watching it. And I can't think of a race in 2021 where we weren't. Well, aside from the two Austria races, every single race has really had us on the edge of our seats. And so if you ask me, who do I think has the edge, and which team do I think has the edge going into the second half? Right now, it's Mercedes and Lewis, but overall, if we consider the entire season, it's really even as ever. No one team, no one driver really has the outgoing advantage. Maybe you can say Lewis has more experience, but also Max has a car that is naturally going to be quicker than the Mercedes because of the way it's designed. So really the competition is even between the two teams and the two drivers. I honestly can't wait to see how it unfolds throughout the rest of the season. Now, speaking of the title fight, one of the teams in the title fight is Mercedes. And the big topic in the Mercedes garage and in the press has been who's going to be Lewis Hamilton's teammate for next year. I've made a video about it. George Russell is the protagonist for getting that second seat. More than Valtteri. A lot of people are saying that George has to be getting that second seat. So Toto Wolff said that during the summer break, they'll make a decision on who's going to go alongside Lewis. Well, if I check the date, it's August 23rd at the time I'm recording this. I have no idea when this video is going to go up. Probably 24th tomorrow. The summer break's basically over. I mean, the race is going to be on Sunday. I think that's the 29th. And we haven't heard anything from Toto. I have not heard a single thing. We have not heard a single thing about, is it George getting that seat? Is it Valtteri? And I think the decision has already been made. There's no way they haven't figured this out yet. What I think they're doing is they're just not telling the media. Because if they tell the media, like, oh, we signed George or oh, we signed Valtteri, no matter what the decision is, the press is going to hound both drivers asking, what do you think about this decision that's been made by Mercedes? It's going to ruin their focus. And when Mercedes is fighting for a title, if they have an unfocused driver, they lose, just like that. So even though I don't like it, it's a smart decision that they're not telling us. But really, I hope they figured it out already because they're just going to make more work for themselves. But they probably have. We'll just have to wait and see what Mercedes says. Now, on the flip side, we have the Red Bull seat, also the second seat. We shouldn't be having this discussion, but apparently Red Bull is trying to figure out if they should keep Sergio Perez or replace him with Pierre Gasly, who drove for the team in 2019. I made a video about this as well. It was actually my most recent video. I don't see a reason for Red Bull to get rid of Sergio Perez. He has the experience. They finally have a driver who's able to be alongside Max. Maybe Sergio isn't consistent every single race, fourth or third. He has his off days, but he's also delivered them the first win that wasn't by Max Verstappen since Daniel, I think in 2018. Sergio's the driver they've been looking for. It makes no sense for them to give him up. And, Pierre is consistently fast in a car that should not be consistently fast. But we've seen in 2019 that when he got that top-tier drive, he wasn't able to handle the pressure. He cracked under it. And I know that drivers change over the years. Like Pierre has definitely changed. He's a race winner now, one of the best drivers, one of the most consistent drivers on the grid. But really, for Red Bull, it's not worth the risk. It really isn't. I see no reason for them to get rid of Sergio Perez. I hope that they keep Perez for their sake, but if they hire Pierre, I mean, I guess I'd be happy for Pierre. It would be great to see him in a top tier team. But moving on from the top teams, we go to McLaren. McLaren right now is the best of the rest. Third in the constructors, and one of their drivers is, I think, third in the drivers' championship as well. Lando Norris. Up until Hungary, which we know what happened on lap one of that race, Lando was the only driver to have scored points in every single race in the season. I think he actually has the McLaren record for the most consecutive point scoring races. And we have to remember all of the McLaren drivers. Hakkinen was on that team, Prost was on that team, Hamilton, Alonso was on that team, even Senna was on McLaren. And Lando has the record. I hope I got that right. If I didn't, I just embarrassed myself in front of all of you. Hold on, I'm going to check. Yeah, so he does actually have the record. I just checked. And even though he had a bad race a couple weeks ago, he's still consistent. One of, if not the most consistent driver on the grid. He's really what's helping McLaren do well. And what's even more impressive is McLaren is still the best of the rest, even though their driver, Daniel Ricciardo, hasn't figured out the car yet. You know, again, a lot of these topics I've talked about in previous videos, and I'm kind of just using this one to sum everything up. But Daniel has to be comfortable with the car to perform well in it. All drivers really have to be comfortable with the car, but I feel like it's even more so with Daniel. Because if you remember when he was on Renault in 2019, he wasn't doing great. And then it was the same in 2020, he wasn't doing awesome. But then halfway through 2020, something clicked. And all of a sudden, fourth, fifth, he got 2 podiums that year. He was driving incredibly. I mean, we really saw the honey badger, Daniel Ricciardo, at his best. It's just going to take time for Daniel to adjust. McLaren really doesn't want to have to wait long with him. They know what he can do, and it's honestly probably frustrating for them having to wait all this time. But once Daniel figures out that car, McLaren is going to be a very, very strong team. And a team that McLaren will be competing with is Ferrari. Now, Ferrari's drivers really have themselves figured out. Charles Leclerc has been with the team since 2019, race winner multiple times, extremely talented. Carlos Sainz just moved from McLaren to Ferrari this year, and even though he says he hasn't fully adjusted to the car like Daniel, it's quite obvious he's handling the car better than Daniel is. Both of the drivers, it's safe to say, they're getting comfortable, but the car just naturally isn't as fast as the McLaren. And so Ferrari have said that they are planning engine upgrades for this season. Now, first of all, the big surprise of this season for Ferrari was that they were competitive. In 2020, I've talked about the 2020 Ferrari so many times. It was horrible. And in 2021, they really should not have improved as much as they did. And now they're contenders for being third in the Constructors' Championship, which is an insane comeback. But the car is really what's holding them back. And so, like the 2019 Ferrari, which was unreasonably quick, Ferrari want to recreate that now by upgrading their engine so that they can have that precious straight line speed that they've enjoyed since like 2018. So like the 2019 Ferrari, which had that natural straight line speed, Ferrari wants to do that again because they feel like an engine upgrade like that could get them battling with McLaren every single race. That would make the season even more interesting, seeing McLaren and Ferrari also battling it out as Mercedes and Red Bull do their thing. Because right now, I mean, we say it's a fight between McLaren and Ferrari, but really McLaren is getting away with it, even though Daniel isn't doing as great as he could. Now, aside from the teams higher up the order, the next best team is Alpine. We cannot talk about Alpine without talking about Esteban Ocon. I haven't made a video on Esteban Ocon yet, and really it's surprising because if you remember last race, how could you forget? Esteban Ocon won. a race winner in Formula One. It's really unbelievable. This season continues to surprise us. I knew the moment I saw him cross the line in first, I have to make a video on it. And I was just waiting for the perfect time, and now, in this recap video, I found my chance. Of course, I'm not an F1 driver. If I was, I wouldn't be making videos where I talk about the sport. But we can just assume, just by looking at Pierre Gasly, who was a race winner last year in 2020. After he got that race win, his performance throughout the rest of the season improved massively. He became one of the most consistent drivers on the grid because now he knows that he's capable of winning. The same thing I feel like will happen to Esteban. Now that he knows that under extreme pressure he can come home and deliver a first place finish for his team, he will drive better than he has in a very long time. Probably ever. And that's really going to help Alpine massively. And we cannot forget about Fernando Alonso because in Hungary, he was really what helped Esteban win the race. Again, taking nothing away from Esteban. But had Fernando Alonso not held up Lewis for those multiple laps, Esteban wouldn't be a race winner. And Fernando is 40 years old. He is showing no signs of getting old after putting on some of the best defense we've ever seen in the sport. And so with his stellar driving combined with Esteban's confidence, if we exclude the 4 teams that I just mentioned, Alpine is really going to mess with the rest of the grid. They're going to mess with Aston Martin, AlphaTauri. They will cause problems for those teams. Again, adding excitement to this 2021 season. But to wrap things up, so much is going on in the season right now. I honestly cannot wait to see how it all unfolds. For now, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, consider subscribing, and turn on notifications so that you never miss an upload. I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good one.